welcome to this Nuix webinar, How to Adopt a Collaborative Workflow for Faster Digital Forensic Investigations. Thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us today. We're both looking forward to spending the next 30 to 35 minutes with you all. I'd now like to introduce my good friend and colleague, Aidan Jewell.
Thank you, Jeff. Hello everyone, my name's Aidan Jewell and I'm a solutions consultant for Nuix. I have 9.5 years experience performing digital forensic investigations, predominantly for law enforcement, during which I chose to specialise in Apple Macintosh forensics.
My name's Malcolm Jeffries, known to most people as Jeff. I'm a senior solutions consultant here at Nuix. Prior to joining the Nuix team in June 2014, I spent the last 12 years as a serving police officer, 9 of those as a digital forensic investigator. 4 years of that was with Sussex High-Tech Crime Unit, and the remaining 5 years until my retirement was with the Metropolitan Police Service SO15 Counter-Terrorism Command High-Tech Unit. I have a reasonably broad and diverse experience of digital investigations ranging from fraud, child protection, indecent images and murder through to terrorism.
In this session we shall cover the current issues that digital investigators are facing, along with the importance of using intelligence during a digital investigation. Jeff will discuss the journey of discovery, how each case involves using intelligence to uncover further intelligence, and how visualizations can help build the bigger picture. We'll then go on to how collaborations between technical analysts and non-technical reviewers can help not only speed up casework, but deliver better results, which we'll demonstrate in a case involving international diamond smuggling. Then we'll summarise and answer any questions you may have. Practically every team or unit that undertakes digital investigations can attest that over the last few years the amount of data that has to be analysed has skyrocketed. When I first started in digital forensics back in 2005, the average hard disk drive was 40 to 60 gigabytes in size, and most computers only had a single hard drive. Before I joined Nuix in 2014, we regularly saw 3 terabyte hard drives installed, which, coupled with the influx of smartphones, tablets, home NAS solutions and online cloud storage, means that everybody's digital footprint has increased dramatically, whilst the tools and methodologies we use have not evolved in line. This is compounded by the lack of highly skilled and trained investigators, which is due to cutbacks and the costs and timescales needed to bring a forensic analyst up to the required standard. Furthermore, the skilled forensic analysts often have to spend so long reviewing simple files such as documents and emails, that they risk running out of time to use their skills to the fullest with investigating the deeper level forensic artefacts. Not only are the sizes of cases increasing, but the number of cases that require digital investigations are increasing too, due to the fact that virtually every crime in today's society has some form of interaction with digital devices. We also find that traditional tools and methodologies lack the ability to use visualizations to help investigators find useful information at a quick glance, and instead force them to join the dots manually. All of these factors lead to ever-increasing backlogs.
So what is intelligence and how can we apply this to our digital investigation? And what can we gather from intelligence? Well, I would describe intelligence-led digital investigations as a crime fighting that is guided by effective intelligence gathering analysis. As the ever-growing interaction between criminals using digital devices across multiple platforms, countries and continents continues at an incredible rate, the use of linked digital intelligence has become one of the most important artifacts in any criminal investigation. So the question again is, what can we gather from intelligence? More intelligence? Very much so. And what does this equate to? The bigger picture. So the diagram on the right shows a typical cycle of data coming into the lab at the left hand side, information being collected from within that data set. This information then becomes knowledge, and this knowledge could eventually become intelligence, which could lead maybe to further suspects and further arrests, or evidence of further crimes being committed by the original suspect, which in turn would link back to the beginning of either arrest of the original suspect for further crimes, or arrest and seizure of exhibits from the new suspects. And this sequence and cycle would continue through to the end of the investigation. It may happen the cycle will run many times on a big job, or the simple jobs potentially will only run the once. So let's discuss what I like to refer to as the investigation corridor. This is a very similar technique used during police interviews. In an interview, this would be in the form of questions put to the suspect. Depending on what the suspect says, will lead to other doors or other questions. In our case as digital forensic investigators, these doors would be seized digital devices. So we have a corridor which has doors either side. As we move along the corridor, we open doors into the evidence. That evidence may or may not contain the evidence required to charge the suspect with offences. However, during our examination, new doors may appear as we build the bigger picture, i.e. the intelligence, into our original suspect's contacts or social peers, etc. These suspects or contacts may well have not been known to us prior to the seizure of the original exhibit. So, the cycle as discussed in the previous slide goes on. We end up looking in doors left and right, new doors may appear. By the time we reach the end of the corridor, we should either have enough evidence to charge the suspect or suspects, or there may well be insufficient evidence, or even no evidence to support charges. So let's look at a real case. This case is the type of investigation I used to love to work on, mainly because the investigation was driven by what the digital investigator found. Initial information was received from officers that a few weeks after the horrific murder in Woolwich, London, of the British soldier Drummer Lee Rigby, that there had been a one-line posting on Facebook offering a car and a sum of money to encourage others via Facebook to murder British, French and American soldiers. And that was all that was known about at this time. 2 suspects in the bottom picture were arrested by detectives, and the laptop and phones were seized by the officers. During the examination, a massive amount of additional evidence was discovered on the laptop, including a large collection of videos that the 2 suspects had made only hours after the murder of Drummer Lee Rigby, glorifying the attack and encouraging others to murder, both soldiers on the streets and politicians and others. Additional evidence was found which led to further investigations and seizures, as the 2 individuals spewed their extremist beliefs between themselves and other like-minded individuals via emails, phone texts and other social messaging apps. Further evidence was also found that the male suspect had associated with Michael Abadalajo, who was sentenced to life imprisonment for the murder of Drummer Lee Rigby. Until this examination, there was no known association of these 2 people. These 2 repugnant individuals, who are husband and wife, were found guilty at the Old Bailey and jailed for 5 years. As a result of the large amounts of digital evidence being produced during the examination from various types of digital devices and social media, it took days to map out the evidential trail by cutting and pasting the links to other associates, ready for presentation to the senior investigating officers and the court. Had I at the time had Nuix available during my investigation and been using the Nuix methodology of a single pane of glass into the entire data set, instead of the traditional 1 exhibit, 1 case and single review, by using the power of Nuix's visual analytics, I could have achieved this within minutes rather than days.
So case intelligence can be critical in getting to the results in a more focused and efficient manner. But who has the most knowledge about an investigation prior to the digital devices being submitted for forensic review? The case officers or investigation teams have a much deeper and broader understanding of all the suspects, persons of interest, and events surrounding their case. And whilst many choose to brief the digital investigator, in our experience it is much more fruitful if these non-technical reviewers can be allowed access to the digital investigation, so that they might bring their case knowledge, their intelligence, into the fold. It could be the case that, when reviewing communications, they might find that another person thought to be only on the periphery might be more heavily involved, which could lead to further investigations. Some of you might be aware that sitting someone who hasn't had experience or training in digital forensics investigations in front of forensic software can often lead to confusion due to the complexity of said software. To that end, Nuix have developed our Web Review and Analytics tool, which presents case data within a simple web browser window. So if the reviewer is comfortable shopping on Amazon, searching on Google, or reading their email online, then they should be able to get started in a web review case straight away. We have also built in some of our visual analytics within Web Review, so users can quickly plot data on timelines, see the GPS records from mobile phones on a map, and visualize the flow of communications between their suspects. Whilst the investigating officer is reviewing the low-hanging fruit, that is to say the simple files such as emails, documents, spreadsheets, etc., the forensic analyst can be working on the deeper level forensic artifacts such as the registry files, jump lists, and internet history. This workflow doesn't just apply to the case officers and the forensic analysts. As with Web Review, you can also bring other non-technical reviewers in to assist as needed, such as subject matter experts, translators, or lawyers. Collaboration between technical and non-technical reviewers means that cases can be completed much more quickly, and useful intelligence can be discovered sooner, which can be essential, especially in those cases that are time critical. I'd like to show you one example of a collaborative workflow, which is designed to help with those cases that contain colossal amounts of data, where dozens of computers, mobile phones and tablets have been seized, along with network storage and mail storage captures. To process every single item to full forensic depth would take a very long time, and likely produce millions of items that aren't relevant to the investigation. Instead, we can choose to perform a triage of all the data by processing everything with only a few options ticked, say only choosing to index the content of certain file types, and choosing to, at this stage, not carve files from the unallocated clusters. This triage processing can be done much faster, which means our reviewers can get into the case sooner. Once this light triage is finished, our forensic analysts can then use the main Nuix workstation application, whilst the non-technical reviewers can use Nuix Web Review and Analytics, and they can work together to find items of interest. Once this first pass review has been completed, you may find that only a handful of the original exhibits contain notable material. So if required, you can then choose to reprocess only these items in more detail in order to perform a second tier review, choosing to include, for example, file carving and our near duplicate detection module. Using a light triage and tiered processing approach means we can not only get into our case much sooner, it also means we can have a more focused, faster investigation, as we're not having to review irrelevant historical data or file types that do not fall under the remit of the investigation.
Okay, so we're now going to take you through a diamond smuggling case. We will see how Nuix can help to bring the key evidence to the surface very quickly with just a few clicks of the mouse. So the scenario is, information has been received by UK agencies that a diamond smuggling team are illegally smuggling and trading uncut blood diamonds from Sierra Leone. As a result of this, the investigation has now been passed on to the Sanford police. Two UK-based suspects known as Dodgy Dealer or Diamond Geezer and Moneyman or Big John have been arrested. During the search of Dodgy Dealer and Moneyman's homes, a number of computers, USB thumb drives, were seized by police. The seized digital exhibits have now been forensically imaged by the Sanford Police High-Tech Unit and are now ready to be examined. So, what do we want to prove? Number one, is there any evidence to support charges on any of the seized digital media? Number two, any evidence relating to Sierra Leone diamond mines? And thirdly, are there any links between known suspects and any evidence to point to further suspects that might be involved in the smuggling ring? Now we're going to demonstrate to you how these questions can be answered using Nuix. So taking into account all of the previous slides and discussions, let's move on to our pre-recorded practical demo. The practical video will contain the following: processing an early case assessment, subcase exporting to Web Review for the reviewers, reviewers looking at the easy files, whilst the forensic guys look at the harder files, and finally pulling it all together for reporting, exporting the intelligence for future cases.
I'm about to take you on a journey through a case that centres on allegations of international diamond smuggling. These sorts of allegations are often complex, as we'll be looking at multiple suspects and analysing a number of different devices from each. But we will show you how you can use Nuix to help you work collaboratively and intelligently. First, we have to create a case within Nuix, and then load in the various evidence files we wish to process, and then select the level of detail we want to go into. We have quite a few different options for processing the data, and it's within this settings page that we can get really detailed as to what we want to achieve. Now, as Jeff has mentioned before, if time is critical, or if there is simply a vast quantity of data to process, we can choose to perform a triage of our data first by selecting just a few options, such as only choosing to index the metadata of the files, not the contents themselves. Afterwards, we can perform an early case assessment and identify which of the evidential items we wish to process in further detail. I'll just highlight a couple of the cool things we can tell Nuix to do, such as perform skin tone analysis, which is not only a great way for identifying pictures of people, but you can also tell Nuix to only show you black and white images, which is how you can quickly look for scanned documents. We also have our forensic file carving options here, and here's where I can tell Nuix to analyse all files for near duplicates, so I can quickly find files that are similar to one another, like a contract that's been changed, or a document that's been converted to PDF. We have some Nuix Bytes videos that go into all these options in more depth, so if you're interested in finding out more, please feel free to check out our YouTube page after the webinar. For this case, I know I have a very keen officer who is eager to get started with their own analysis, so I'll just choose a few options so I can quickly process the data and provide all the simple files for them to review. These other tabs are how we can choose which types of files to process, how we configure the Nuix engine by assigning resources, and also how we can manage encrypted items. Nuix will identify possibly encrypted items for you and flag them for your attention, but if you happen to know the passwords to, for example, an encrypted NSF file, you can just enter it here. So I've selected my processing settings, and now I'll load in some evidence. One of the key features of Nuix is our ability to pull in data from a wide range of sources, from your standard evidential file formats, to loose files and containers, to network locations both locally and across the internet, and also volatile data such as the processes that are running on my own laptop. This case consists of a number of images of laptops and memory sticks. So first I'll browse their location, and you can see that I'm prompted to enter in metadata relating to the images, such as the source time zone and who the original exhibits belong to. Once I'm happy I have all the items loaded in, hitting OK brings me to the pre-filter screen, where again I'm given the option to fine-tune what is processed. This cool feature means I can mount container files such as PSTs, zips or E01 files on the fly, and untick directories or items I'm not currently interested in processing. Hitting OK again will bring us to the processing screen, where you'll see the Nuix engine fire up and start working on the data. Now, whilst we find it very important to give you a ton of options for processing data so that you can be in control of what you want to achieve, we also recognise the importance of standardising workflows. With Nuix Workstation, I can save my current processing settings into a profile, which I can switch to at any point or share with my colleagues. We also have a product called Nuix Director, which we can use to create templates that cover not only the processing, but also other stages including culling, which is removing files that are of no interest, such as hash database whitelists or empty files, for example, and exceptions such as automatically OCRing PDF documents that don't contain a text layer. We can customize these templates so that case creation can be as simple as pointing director at the evidence items, choosing a template, and hitting go. After the processing is finished, you'll be presented with a number of reports and diagrams to show you how much evidence you have culled, how much is left to remain, and what the makeup of that evidence is. Jumping ahead, Blue Peter style, my case has finished processing and I am presented with the main Nuix Workstation interface. Here I can perform keyword searches. Here I can choose to run a number of filters to show me, for example, all emails, or all documents that have been sent as an attachment, or all encrypted items. The results of any searches or filters that I run are shown in the middle, and clicking on an item will present it to me on the right hand side, where I can not only read the contents, but view all the metadata. As I mentioned before, the investigating officer is rather keen to start their own analysis of this case. Rather than give them all 76,000 items to review, which would include system files that they are unlikely to want, instead I can quickly export just the simple files such as documents, spreadsheets and emails for them in their own miniature case. By creating a subcase export and sharing it via Nuix Web Review and Analytics, a non-technical reviewer can be analysing these simple files, while the forensic analyst can better use their time to work on the deeper level forensic artifacts such as registry files, link files and jump lists. Nuix Web Review and Analytics is a program that can present a Nuix case to one or more analysts for collaborative review. It offers a simplified browser-based view into the case, so that non-forensic analysts can bring their investigative skills and case knowledge to the table without the obstacles of tackling complex file types. When a user logs in, they are presented with a list of cases available to them, and clicking on a case will launch them straight to the dashboard, which is a customizable overview of the items in their case. Clicking on the Grid tab will take users to a list of all the files in their case. There is a bar at the top for entering keyword search terms, and there are also file type and date range filters here, just as within Nuix Workstation. At the top of the page is a count showing items yet to be reviewed, which are shown in bold in the grid view. Clicking on an item will turn the text to non-bolded and will show the item contents and the metadata on the right hand side for easy review. This is shown in a text strip fashion for speed, however we can also give the user permission to launch the file natively or as a PDF copy so that they may view the item in its natural form. When the user finds an item of interest, they can tag the file using pre-created tags or tags of their own, and they may also add any comments they wish to the files. These annotations are all stored within the case and may be exported back to the main case once their review is concluded. Our investigating officer has quickly found some emails that might be relevant to the remit of the case. Having tagged them, the user can load one of the built-in visualizations to get a better picture of the communications at play. In this case, it seems a number of emails have been traded between some Gorilla Mail accounts and a wholesale-diamonds-harry@gmail.com. This visualization is fully interactive, so you can not only use it to filter on certain communications, but if you keep it open, it will update with every search and filter that the user runs. The user now resets their view so that they can look through all of the email in the case, but rather than using the grid view, they're instead opting to use another visualization. This view plots all of the filtered files into a timeline and allows a user to read all of the emails in chronological order. Again, they swiftly find some useful emails that seem to document some underhand dealings. Having tagged all of those emails both for their report and for further analysis, the reviewer now moves on to examining the spreadsheets. Whilst we're cheating by having a very small data set, users can quickly identify potential key items through the use of filters, visualizations and searching. They can view both a reduced version and a native version of the file, and they can tag and add comments to items, all just using a web browser on a connected machine. Whilst the non-technical reviewer is conducting their analysis, the forensic analyst can also be working on the case. In our case, we believe that one or more of the suspects may have recently visited Africa. Most smartphones record GPS data every time a photograph is taken, and we can filter for these photographs within Nuix, and then plot them on a map. In our case, we can see that a number of photos are reporting that they may have been taken in Sierra Leone, so within a few seconds we have uncovered new intelligence and narrowed down our focus from the whole of Africa to a single country. We can also derive further intelligence by analysing other key metadata entries, noting the make and model of the device used to take the photo, when it was created, and what relevance it has to the rest of our data by virtue of where it's stored. So we found that Sierra Leone is a place of interest and worth looking into further. When we processed the case data, we chose to extract named entities using our built-in regular expressions. If we switch to Entities view, Nuix shows me all the extracted company names, credit card numbers, etc. But we're interested in the country entity. I can filter on these to show me all results for Sierra Leone, and then choose to open these in a new Workbench tab. From here, to save time browsing through the files, we can choose to use a similar communications view as our web reviewer used. So we can view, in this instance, Skype communications between Moneyman and Diamond Geezer that contain references to Sierra Leone. Going back to our network visualizations, we'll hop to all Skype chat from Moneyman relating to Sierra Leone, and then broaden our view to all Skype communications from Moneyman from the whole dataset. From here we can analyse all of the named entities that have been extracted, so we can uncover any further intelligence that's worth pursuing. For example, we have extracted 3 company names that are referenced in the Skype chat, and 3 monetary values. There also could be other persons of interest referenced here, which could be looked into further if required. We can also see Afghanistan as mentioned alongside Sierra Leone. All of this intelligence has so far been quickly gathered purely from Skype communications, but let's have a look to see if there isn't anything else we can establish. If I browse to the main.db Skype database for Moneyman, I can use the new database viewer built into Nuix to analyse it natively. From this view, I can immediately focus on what file transfers have taken place, and sure enough, it looks like the same notable spreadsheet our web reviewer found has been shared over Skype. So far we have discovered a lot of notable communications through email and Skype, but let's focus on using the intelligence we've acquired to build further intelligence and hopefully uncover more. I can use our new visualization, the Context tab, to look at named entities in more detail and see what links and commonalities can be found across the dataset. If I focus on the 3 monetary values from our Skype chat and choose to push these to a Context tab, I can see links between exhibits immediately drawn out for me. I can then broaden my scope and see what other files in my evidence contain these monetary values, and from there look at these new files. We've now brought in files from 2 other exhibits that belong to a Big John, and hovering over them reveals them to be webmail that's been cached through the use of Firefox Portable. Not only can I gather these files for my report, but I can use them to build more intelligence and establish third parties. In summary, it is not only skill and technical ability that gets results in a case, but intelligence as well. With Nuix, both technical and non-technical analysts can collaborate on a case within an environment that best suits their abilities, sharing their results, utilising each other's strengths, which results in the best use of everyone's time. We believe this leads not only to more focused investigations, but also to more enriched results.
So let's summarise the key takeaways from this webinar. Collaborative workflows allow effective resource allocation. The ability to visualise the findings within the review platform, analytics platform, and finally, resulting in getting the right information into the right hands in the fastest and most precise way.
Thank you for watching this webinar. Please feel free to visit our YouTube page for more videos and our website for more information.